Hello. In this video I'm going to go through new features and functionality of PioSolver 1.6. So let's get to it. Maybe I will load one of the solve trees first. So first feature I want to talk about is line frequency, like overall line frequency. And the way it works is we have added this information here. Mm, and it updates automatically when you browse the tree. And what it shows is average frequency of given line. So, for example, here when we have a turn check, it's not only this information here is for strategy on this particular card, but those numbers show overall frequency, so across all the runouts. So here we are at 2 barrel spot. So it shows us that 2 barrel is made on average on 44.4% of the time. So maybe let's go to third barrel as well. So we can see that third barrel is made 59% of the time, almost 60, and average fold to third barrel is 46, average call is 47, and the average check raise is 6%. So those numbers are line averages. They might be different than the specific number we have here, because that number is concerns this specific turn and this specific river. As you can recall, we can change the river card using Control key and the arrows. So yeah, for example, on this river we are almost never check raising, because probably we don't have 8-6, as this is cut off against big blind spot. But the average is still 6%, of course, because that's across all the runouts. So this way you can find the runouts which are good for check raising, for example, or bad for check raise, by going through all the cards and see. So this was very often requested by our users, so I think you'll like it. One word of explanation is one word of explanation though. You may notice that those numbers here are different than those numbers here, and this might be not obvious why they are different, but yeah, I'm going to explain that. So what we show here, those strategies here, they are from the point of view of the player, so they don't include card removal. And those numbers here include card removal. So those numbers are how often a given line actually happens, and those numbers are how often a player thinks that it happens without knowing the opponent's range. And this is a philosophical question: which one is better to show? And we think that showing this, from player perspective here is a better design. So yeah, it is what it is. And maybe I'm going to tell you why I think it's a better design to show the strategy from player's perspective here. So if we have like I don't know, river toy game, let's make it like flop this, like very simple example. Just I forgot. So aces here, aces and kings here. Go solve, right? So this is some strategy that aces are betting or checking, but here this is interesting. Here we see that a player is betting some aces and checking all the kings, which is expected, right? This is just a total example. We don't need to go deep into it. But the lesson is that the player thinks that they are betting 35%, but 35.7, and in reality they are only betting 10%, because opponent's range, as we can see, is only aces, of course. So some of those aces are blocked, and this number here shows us this blocking effect, while this number is what the player thinks they are doing, right? So yeah, that was a digression into this difference, why those numbers here are different than those numbers here. And we think that this is better design, but all the feedback is welcome on this one. We may well add in the future the option to switch those numbers to to be the same as those numbers. That's not a problem because the solver of course reports all the necessary data. Okay, so let's go to another feature which was very commonly requested, and that is multi-flop generation, multi-flop reports. They now contain way more information, but maybe let's start with script generation. So you see that you can now input some number of random flops, like for example 500, and it's going to generate 500 flops for you. Oh, there are 500 flops. Or you can do like 10, right? So maybe let's choose some configuration. Yeah. So you can now generate scripts, for 500 random flops and so on. So there's also additional option to make only microsaves, because when you are solving that many flops, then making even small saves that may take too much disk space. Microsaves are usually about 1 megabytes per tree, so that is very manageable, even if you solve thousands of them. So take that into account. You can also see that there are now numbers after the flops, and they're optional. You don't have to use them, but if you use them, those are weights. So what happens here is this flop is counted 2 times, and this flop is counted 2 times, and this one is counted only once. Here's the explanation why it is the way it is. When you generate, let's say, 20 random flops, we pick them from the set of all different flops, which is set of 22,100 flops. But some of them are strategically the same, and if that happens, they are folded, so to speak, into one flop, which to avoid computing the same flop 2 times, because they are isomorphic, right? So we are automatically folding the flops to isomorphic groups. So you see, sometimes you have only flops with weight 1. If we were not lucky enough to have 2 flops which are the same, but sometimes when we try long enough, we'll see that some flops repeat. So the viewer is now folding them to one group for us. One additional nice thing you can do with that, if you insert 22,100 here and generate, you will get all the flops with proper frequencies. Because the way we randomize, the way we pick the flops, they are picked without returning. So this is all the flops, right? With correct frequencies. We can see that suited flop here has 12, right? Rainbow has 24. So this is known. So if you want to run the solver on all possible flops, then just do that and you can run it. And remember to check microsaves, because almost 2,000 flops, that's going to be a lot. So we are not going to run it now, because that would be a lot of time. But good news is that I have some of them prepared. So I have run 700 flops before. As you can see, those are microsaves. They only take like 700 kilobytes per tree, and we have 700 of them here. So what we can do with them is run multiple files, run out aggregator frequency, and analyze this. And what it does is it shows us combined EVs, combined preflop orders, and some more useful stuff. I'm not going to run it now because it takes about 2 minutes on those 700 flops. I'm just going to show you the result which I got because I ran it before here. So now you get 4 files when you run multi-flop report. One of them is IP preflop order, which are hence sorted from the strongest one to the weakest one according to this, to this spot. So according to EVs from this 700 flops in this example. Here you have the same for OOP player, so you can use that, to generate preflop orders. And then there's a report, which is very similar, to what we had before in the previous version. So you have all these matchups, equity actions for all 700 flops, and at the bottom there is average, right? So average equity, average EV, and average action frequencies here. So yeah, this is a report which is the same as the previous version. And there is additional report now which contains EVs for all the hands. So you can see that there are EVs from pre-flop hands out of position player, and they, there's AA, King, Queen, and so on. We have EV, equity realization, which was often asked for, and matchups. So yeah, then you have the same for pre-flop player as well. Sorry, I mean in position player as well. And then after that you have it for all the specific combinations, in case you are curious how close it was on this subset of flops. But this is what is useful. And those preflop orders are generated based on those EVs, right? So what you can do now is take this preflop order. This is for OOP player, right? You can take it, copy it, and go to select range here, and we have those new options here, preflop orders. You can paste this preflop order and then use it like that. So you see this is different preflop order than we are used to, but yeah, it is what it is. And you can save it as well. Save 700 hands order OOP, right? Yeah, so this order is a bit surprising, but maybe it depends on the ranges are input. I'm not claiming this is the ultimate preflop order. It's just what we get running 700 random flops with assumptions are made about the tree. Also, I'm adding 2 more preflop orders to this distribution. This is 3-bet call IP and button steal as well. Those were run on well-selected subset of 200 flops, and as you can see, there are still some irregular thing like King 6 being better than King 7. But again, maybe that's dependent on exact ranges I have used. Yeah, but this is, I think, very decent. And also there is default preflop order, which was included in previous version as well. So I think this is a lot of fun because now you can run a lot of preflop spells and verify that you are, for example, not defending hands which are EV minus from big blind and so on, because that's just very convenient to do using this script generation here, and then doing multi-flop reports. So again, if you want to, like, I don't know, 1000 flops, right? You just click this. Oh, sorry, maybe here. You just click this, insert 1000 flops, generate script, and you can click here, and it's going to run. So that's all is needed here. Okay, so that's about multi-flop generation reports. So let's see what we have after that. Okay, so there is a new tool which is preflop charts here. What it does, it allows you to create a nice chart, for your preflop ranges. So I'm going to go through one example how to use it. So first we have those ranges here. So let's fill the first one, and let's say we are doing heads up 3-bet and heads up call, out of position, right? So first we're going to insert like heads up 3-bet, some range like that. We're going to show it, so it's in red, right? Then if we go to another range, we see that those hands are already blocked. I can't mark them even if I want, and here I can only do fractions. So even if I use like this, is going to respect those hands which are already dead. So this is, let's say, our call in range, like here. I'm going to show it as well, and then the fold in range, we just mark all of them, all remaining ones, and we have a table like that. But still it's not very nice because there is range 1, range 2, range 3. So let's make it 3-bet, 3-bet, call, and the fold. So that's much nicer. Maybe it's already ready to print. Also, you can change the colors if you don't like our defaults color scheme. You are welcome to make it, I don't know, pink. So you have raises in pink now, and calls you can make, I don't know, like what would be good, like gray, and then folds you can make it like, I don't know, black. So I mean, whatever colors you want, it's possible to make, and you can have a lot of those, as you can see, like I think 20 or 19. So yeah, there is this is, I think, very nice tool. And also it's because of this blocking functionality, you can use it to construct ranges and then copy paste from here, save those ranges and have pre-flop ranges which don't overlap, which is important. Okay, so when we are at it at range selector, there is new functionality which is range arithmetic. You can add ranges, subtract ranges, take maximum or take minimum. So the way it works, I'm sorry. The way it works, let's say you have you have this range, and we have this range, right? And we would like to add one of them to another. So we choose this, choose add here, choose another range, and the resulting range is just weights are added to each other. You can also subtract the range. So if you go the full range and subtract, let's say 3-bet in, we will end up with all the hands which are not in 3-bet in. Right, this is, I think, clear. You can also do max, which takes all the hands from both ranges and takes the maximum weight. So when you combine ranges, what you get, and the min is chooses hands which are in both ranges, right? Okay, so that's it. Another feature. Let me look at this blog post here. What we have. There's no pre-flop charts. Oh, there is for limit players, as the limit trees are usually very big. Like for example, this tree here. If we build it, we are going to end up with something like. Let me. We're going to end up with something like almost 13 gigabytes. That's a lot of gigabytes, right? A lot of memory. Not everyone have that much, and not everyone can wait as long, to solve trees. So there are now some options to make it smaller. For example, we can remove OOP dongbet here. We build it again, and this time the tree is going to be only 7.2 gigabytes. So that's a lot of progress, right? Maybe we can remove 3-bet on the flop. If we make it cap 2, then in position player is not going to 3-bet in response to check raise, so that cuts a tree a lot as well. And we can see that the tree is only 4.4 gigabyte this time, so way smaller and way faster to solve, right? So this is for limit players, and yeah, I think this is going to make working with limit a bit more pleasant. Okay, so another feature is range arithmetic. We went through that. The layout is fixed for very small displays as well as very big ones. When you use Windows scaling feature like 125%, the viewer didn't display correctly before. That's why we changed the layout of the buttons so to make it display correctly of all possible screen sizes, and hopefully it works well now. Okay, there's some minor functionality as well that you can copy node information, node ID if you want. Yeah, force bet works with multiple sizing, but this is obvious. Scroll. Okay, so one very often requested feature is ability to input accuracy and timeout in the tree building. So timeout was there before in tools and configurations. It's not there anymore. It's here, as well as accuracy. You can pick like 0.25% of the pod, check it, and if you want the timeout as well, you can check it as well if you want, or you can only choose one. And then if you click go, the solver is going to work until one of those conditions is met, whichever comes first. Yeah, and the additional thing is that the solver now shows you the reason it stopped. So I requested it to stop, so it's show requested. But if it hit accuracy, it's going to tell you that the accuracy is reached. Okay. Okay, so now there is a smart selection of suits. So that was often requested as well. So this is like cutoff against button again. So when we look at strategy and EV, we sometimes want to see what happens with spades, right? So we can choose spades, and we have all the suited hands here. And here we have hands with at least one spade as a higher card here, right? But if we choose this, we have spades as a lower card. But what if we want spades, like all the spades with at least one spade? You can do this now, and you see that those are only combinations with spades, right? With at least one spade. So that's how it works. So that's additional feature which allows you to see how spades behave, right? Or how hearts behave as well. Okay, so that's it for the viewer side. Now let's see. There are some features which are not in the viewer yet, but they are very likely to appear in the near future. So first is combo locking feature. What we can do in combo locking is, build this. So before we were only able to lock, whole nodes. So for example, when we have this 3-bet pot here and there is a IP decision, we could go to before we solve or after we solve, it doesn't matter. We could go here and edit the strategy. But unfortunately, it was only possible to edit the whole strategy and lock the whole node. But sometimes maybe we want to only lock particular part of the range and leave rest of the range to be solved. So we can do it now. Unfortunately, not from graphical interface. So what is going to follow now is for advanced users. And if you don't want any of that, then your best option is to wait for some time until the viewer is going to implement that functionality. So this is for advanced users who just can't wait. And this functionality was, to be honest, squeezed at the last moment, but it was heavily requested and maybe not that difficult to implement as I first thought. So what we are going to try is, let's say this is a 3-bet pot, and we are going to see what happens if we play against an opponent who is always raising flush draws, right? This is maybe not a real life example, but something easy to understand. So first, we are going to choose all the flush draws here, of course, all the flush draws, and change strategy without locking the node. So what we achieved now is that every flush draw is raising, in fact. But we are this is still not locked, so if we solve right now, it's going to go back to normal, and we don't want that. So what we can do is pick the combinations we want to lock, which are all the flush draws, copy it in PioSolver format, then go to arbitrary command and call this combo lock node command, which is new, and this is the node ID you see here, and here we need this range which we just copy pasted. Yeah, this worked, and we can see that this node here is marked as combo locked, and those combinations are locked, and we can solve it now and see how that works. Solving this will take about 2 minutes, so we're going to wait, and meanwhile I'm going to see if there is anything else which is worth mentioning. So yeah, there are pure preflop games, but they need to wait for the viewer as well. But it's now possible to solve purely preflop games, so the ones which have no actions postflop. Maybe that is interesting to someone. Set accuracy, you can now use that, but again in scripts you can now use that with percent of the pot if you want, not only in chips. And there is a standard output redirection. This is again for programmers and for scripters, and also there are a lot of fixes. The PP, like pretty print functions, are fixed because they weren't correct before. One of them, at least, this one. Yeah, reverse saves now work, and actions are weighted by matchups. Yeah, this is another thing. Yeah, okay, so the solving is going pretty well. We are already at 0.3, maybe that's enough for this purpose. And we can see here that in fact all the hearts are raising. We see that the solver added some hands as well. That's natural, right? Because that wouldn't make much sense to only raise with flush draws. So the solver decided to add some more hands. So yeah, we can look at our strategy now and how we react to that. Yeah, you can compare this solution to a solution without combo locking, but it's clear how it works, right? We wanted all the flush draws to raise, and all of them are raising, while the rest of the range was free to change. So the solver was free to change it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's for a quick overview. I hope this was useful for you. You are welcome to read the blog post as well once it is published. There is some more details and some GIFs to make it easier to use the new functionality. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.